Okay, so that Mantenna video wound up being really short, like 10 minutes long. So I figured I might as well go ahead and do another video since I got a lot of stuff to get out of the way. We've got another stack of superpowers figures over here where I have Brainiac and Blue Beetle and Kilowog. Those just arrived this week. I've got so many G.I. Joe figures to get to because I was waiting around for Scarlet to show up. Scarlet was the last one of those G.I. Joe figures to show up. She finally did, so I can get around to opening those. I've still got Leech. I'm going to open him tomorrow, like I planned on doing. But I figured I might as well get one of these superpowers figures out of the way. Oh, and I also have three different Masterverse figures coming up. They had the new wave at Walmart, and I hadn't seen any new He-Man stuff at Walmart in a while, and then all of a sudden, all this new He-Man stuff starts showing up. So I did that Tila Origins figure, the Filmation one, yesterday, and I'll probably try to pick up Trapjaw next week if I can, and then we can go ahead and open up that Trapjaw. But I've got three of the four Masterverse figures I saw over there. I wasn't really that interested in Skeletex, so I gave him a pass. But I got the new Eternia versions of Man at Arms and Trapjaw and the Sorceress Tila from Masters Universe Revolution. Was that what it was called? Yeah. So it's kind of funny they got like two different assortments of two different He-Man lines in at Walmart recently, and both of them had Trapjaw and Tila. I don't know. I don't know if they planned it that way or not, but it's kind of funny to me. Anyway, I got him around the same time that I got Manga Batman, but somehow got distracted from opening him. But we got Sinestro Core. Sinestro, I've addressed before how Sinestro is one of my favorite villains in comics, and one of the few villains that I would say I actually like him better than the hero. Even like it's like nothing against Green Lantern. Green Lantern obviously is a great character and one of the pillars of the DC universe. Like you got to have a Green Lantern in there. But Sinestro, I just always thought was so cool for whatever reason. I just kind of liked the idea of like he used to be a Green Lantern himself and went bad, and he's got a yellow. It's a pretty neat figure. Now I already opened up, and I have here with me. You might remember from the previous episode the Silver Age costume for Sinestro, which is my personal preferred costume for Sinestro because that was the one I grew up with. Although a lot of people, understandably, would argue that the yellow costume makes more sense because he had a yellow ring. But remember, not a lot of people remember this. Sinestro did not have a power ring in his first comic book appearance. He actually just didn't get it till the second appearance, which you would think that would be like the most obvious thing in the world for a character who's supposed to be like a renegade Green Lantern. You give him a yellow power ring, but didn't occur to him until the second appearance for whatever reason. So this is essentially a repaint of the first one. So I do feel like both versions are kind of like they both have their place. And obviously, I was willing to buy both versions. I want both versions of Sinestro. Like, I want the classic Silver Age version, the Legion of Doom version, and I want to have this more modern version in his yellow uniform. So let's read the bio in the back real quick. I expect it's the same as the bio on the first one. Sinestro once served as the Green Lantern of Sector 1417. After being ejected from the Corps, Sinestro formed the Sinestro Corps, harnessing the yellow energy of fear, not only to combat the Guardians, but also to strengthen the Green Lantern Corps. So, again, they could have been a little more detailed in that description, I think, of the character. But whatever. Let's go ahead and open them up. Oh, we should probably have a look at the artwork on there. It's a pretty nice little image. It doesn't quite look like the Jose Luis Garcia Lopez style. It doesn't look quite like an Ethan Van Sciver style, but it's kind of somewhere in between, which I guess is appropriate for taking a more modern design for the character and putting it into this 80s action figure style. and I'm gonna keep pointing this out every time I open a figure, like, and I think about it. Is let's look at the cross-sell artwork for a second here. I'm not gonna go over the whole list because there's too many of them to do now. But you notice somebody is missing. They still haven't done a Joker for this line, unless you count Batman Who Laughs, and let's not count Batman Who Laughs. So let's just ignore that character as long as we can. But you would imagine with the Joker being such a popular character in DC in general, and certainly their most popular villain, you would imagine they would have gotten around to doing the Joker by now. Hell, this is the second Sinestro I've opened. And I've got Brainiac over here, ready to be opened. There's Brainiac, a fellow member of the Legion of Doom. And no Lex Luthor. We've already got two Brainiacs even, because there's the box set with the 90s version of Brainiac with his skull ship, the purple version of the skull ship. So what's the deal, Mcfarlane? How do we have two figures of Sinestro, two figures of Brainiac, not one figure of the Joker? A guy who, like, his solo movie made $1 billion, a supervillain whose solo movie made $1 billion. We need a Joker. So there is the Sinestro Core battery, pretty cool. So it's not like I'm without a Joker at all, but we need one for the Mcfarlane line. Come on. So let's go ahead and pull him out of the package. No rubber bands, none of that annoying nonsense. He just comes right out. And there is Sinestro out of the package. Again, since this is a remold of the original figure, he does have the ring on the correct left hand. He is a southpaw. Let's go ahead and put the battery in his hand. And I mentioned in the review of the Silver Age figure, I think, that he didn't actually have a yellow battery in the older stories. He just kind of like siphoned power off of a Green Lantern ring when he would do battle with them. But the more modern version has a battery of his own. So it made sense that he would come with a power battery. So you want him to have some kind of accessory. But the modern version, of course, would have a power battery. And like I said, it's the same exact sculpt. We can see that, like, they sculpted this to be the original version and then repainted it to be the modern version. If you look at the belt, you can tell that the belt still goes all the way around rather than, having that chunk out of the middle of it. It's just kind of painted black, but it's still the same sort of belt that goes all the way around, like with the classic version. But yeah, that's what it looks like holding the battery. I do kind of feel like this head sculpt is kind of somewhere in between the way they drew him in the Silver Age and the way that they drew him in the more modern comics. He doesn't quite have the high and tight like he's often drawn as having in the comics nowadays. And normally even they have the sides of his head kind of shaved oftentimes. But not this version. He's still got the hair on the sides of his head. So, and he doesn't have the whites painted in on his eyes. And he does not have yellow eyes like you might expect him to have. He still just has, like, it's a simple black dot with some black eyelashes. So let's go ahead and talk about his articulation. So it's basic 80s style action figure articulation. The head rotates all the way around. So we can turn his head all the way around. The arms rotate all the way around to the shoulder. No elbow articulation, no wrist articulation. This is just 80s style action figure articulation. Simple, basic, gets the job done. Leg kicks forward about that far, not quite 90 degrees, but he does have a 90-degree bend at the single joint at the knee. Leg moves back about that far. He can do the splits, no problem. So again, pretty simple articulation. Let's put the lantern back in his hand. I do really like this lantern. I think they did a really good job with the design of it. It's nice that it's got the Sinestro Core logo embossed into the top of it, if you can see that. So that's pretty cool. So let's have a look again at the two versions of Sinestro side by side. They did a nice job with his emblem, I think. And let's go ahead and have a look at him next to his arch nemesis, Hal Jordan. They look pretty cool together. The Mcfarlane version of Hal Jordan, but I still think the original vintage Hal Jordan looks best. So there he is with the original Superpowers Green Lantern. And might as well get a shot of him with John Stewart, since I have him nearby. And you might still be able to find him for a discount price at Walmart. I know some of my Walmarts still have a few more hanging around. And even though he's still in the package and I won't be opening him until later, probably sometime next week, we can get a look at him next to Kilowog in the package at least. So I'm looking forward to opening this guy up. So yeah, this is a figure that, like, even though I thought he was cool, and I was hoping I would run across him, I kind of figured, well, I've already got the Silver Age version of Sinestro, so it's not like I really need another version of Sinestro. If I find him, I find him, and if I don't, I don't. And I just so happened that I did. So I went ahead and picked him up, and I very much am glad that I did, because he is a really cool-looking figure. And while I feel like that the vintage, the classic version, this is the one that I would have wanted back in the 80s. This is one that I'm glad to have. But if they'd only done the yellow version, I would have been disappointed. This is the one that I feel like is more essential, just because it's Superpowers and it's supposed to be a vintage style line. It's supposed to be like a classic style line, so it makes more sense they have Sinestro as he would have appeared back in the 80s. I think that's the definitive version as far as that goes. Now, like I said, with the since I happen to have him nearby, the multiverse version, I don't mind having a Sinestro Corps version for the multiverse version, but I would like to have him in his Legion of Doom outfit at some point. But it's one of those where it's like, you know, I'm just as happy with this one, I think, as I would have been with a blue one, if that makes any sense. Even if, like, I had to pick one, I'd pick the blue one. I don't mind that it's the yellow one. But with this one, I think I would have minded if the yellow one was the only one. However, since, you know, we already have a blue one, I'm happy they made a yellow one. So do I recommend picking him up? Absolutely. If you're a completist like me and you want to try to get as much of this Superpowers stuff as possible, then yeah, you want to go ahead and get him. But it's probably not necessary for most people, I don't think, to have both versions. I think most people could probably look at one or the other and just be like, yeah, this is the one I like better. So I'm happy just having the yellow one or just having the blue one. But if you're like a huge fan of Sinestro like me, then yeah, you want to have both versions, and they both look really cool in their own right. I'm glad to have them both. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about this figure right now. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and Sinestro as a character, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.